स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate, who came to establish universal religion, the embodiment of all gods and goddesses. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic I have chosen from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the significance of faith and reason. Both are important, and both should be cultivated in a proper way. Faith means total reliance, without any trace of doubt. Total reliance on the divine. Total reliance on His play. It is possible only when a person becomes guileless, when he is free from all blemishes, when the mind is clear and clean, then he will be able to cherish faith completely in the divine. Reasoning also has got its own limitations. Reasoning should not end up in some kind of endless argumentation. From that point of view, reasoning confuses the mind than clearing the mind. Reasonable reasoning is really needed, and it is important also. So these two, faith and love, are natural to all beings. Everyone has it to a certain degree. On the one hand, we know that we must also have reason and analysis. Each of these plays its role in the spiritual quest, and they are reconciled. The power of faith cannot be underestimated. There is a saying, he who has faith has all, and he who lacks in faith lacks in all. Through simple and guileless faith, seemingly impossible things can happen. Sri Ramakrishna has said in the Gospel a story. There was a milkmaid who used to supply milk to Brahmin priest living on the other side of a river. Owing to the irregularities of the boat service, she could not supply him milk punctually every day. So the priest was a little upset, and he rebuked her for being late. Then the woman said, "Sir, what can I do? I start very early from my house, but then I have to wait for a long time at the river bank for the boatman and the passengers. Until the boat is filled with passengers, the boatman will not start." Then the priest said, "Well, they cross the ocean of life by uttering the name of God. And can't you cross this little river?" The simple-hearted woman became very glad at heart on learning this easy means of crossing the river. On the next day, the milk was being supplied early in the morning, very punctually. The priest was surprised, and he said to the woman, "Well, how is it that you are no longer late nowadays?" She said, "Sir, I crossed the river by uttering the name of the Lord as you told me to do, and don't stand now in need of a boatman." The priest could not believe this. He was surprised and totally overwhelmed by this statement, and said, "Well, can you show me how you cross the river?" The woman took him with her and began to walk over the water. Just she was totally relying on the divine and repeating God's name, and simply she walked as if nothing difficult. Looking behind, the woman saw the priest in a sad plight and said, "Well, sir, how is it? You are uttering the name of God with your mouth, but at the same time with your hands you are trying to keep your cloth untouched by water. You don't fully rely on Him." The scholar had no implicit faith. He fell into the water as he did not have the simple faith that the milkmaid had. Entire resignation and absolute faith in God are at the root of all miraculous deeds. There is another story told by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel of the little boy who lived with his mother. To go to school, the boy had to walk through the woods, and he complained to his mother how he was terribly afraid every day passing through the woods, because wild animals would be there. They might attack. The mother told him that in the forest there lived his brother Madhusudan, and that whenever he felt afraid, he need only call his brother. Madhusudan was the name of God. The boy believed his mother's words and did as she said. When he called Madhusudan repeatedly, then a young boy of charming appearance came out from behind the trees and played and kept the little boy company as he walked through the woods. When the boy told his mother about his brother Madhusudan, she was grateful to God beyond word and prayed that He continued to protect and guide her child. This continued for a time until one day the teacher announced that there would be a major religious ceremony in the house. Each of the students had to bring some befitting gift for the occasion. Everybody has to bring. So this poor little boy asked his mother about the gift. But as they were very poor and had barely enough to survive, the mother told him to ask his brother Madhusudan. So he totally relied upon what mother said. And as usual, when he was passing through the woods, he called his brother Madhusudan and he asked for gift to be given to the teacher. Madhusudan came there, met the boy and gave him a little pot of curd, that is a kind of yogurt, to take to his teacher. Since he was a small boy, he could not have carried anything larger. So, when the boy brought the small pot and presented it to the teacher was at first annoyed at this so small gift and emptied it into a larger pot. To his surprise, the small pot immediately refilled itself. Then I asked the little boy where he had got this pot, this special pot, which keeps on refilling itself. It doesn't get emptied. The child told him that his brother Madhusudan in the forest had given it to him. Realizing what it meant, the teacher was stunned to hear it and wanted to go with him to the forest to meet his brother. They went into the woods and the little boy called out, but Madhusudan didn't appear. Then the boy repeatedly called him. Still he did not come. Finally, a voice came from a distance saying, "My dear boy, your simple and guileless faith enabled you to see me. But your teacher has not that kind of faith." Though faith can bring us directly to the spiritual experience, it can in early stages also lead to terrible fanaticism. The history of the world is filled with stories of persecution in the name of religion and faith. The Greek philosopher Socrates, 4th century BC, was sentenced to death for daring to pursue truth. Many innocent people were killed during Inquisition. The Italian philosopher Bruno, 1548 and 1600 period, was burnt at the stake of heretical statements. The Polish astronomer Copernicus and Italian scientist Galileo were intimidated, harassed, and made to retract their scientific conclusion because they disagreed with the views of the church. And most recently, there was a prediction that the world would end. A few years back, the prediction was made. It all flashed in all the newspapers. Many of the faithful sold their property, resigned their jobs in anticipation of the end. Some committed suicide when the day came and went with no incident, while some ministers apologized for making an error in their calculation of the end of the world. The kind of faith that makes people behave in this way is unripe. When it ripens, it would not make this kind of mistakes. True love or ripened faith can be known by three properties. Firstly, it knows no bargaining. It is not the kind of love that says, "You give me this and I will give you this much love." It is love for love's sake and not for any other gain or loss. Secondly, love knows no fear. One doesn't quake before the object of love. Otherwise, it is slavery of some kind, but not love. Thirdly, there is no jealousy. We don't hate others or try to quash them in the name of our love. In the name of our love. When we see these three aspects, then we would see our ideal of love everywhere and in every face. The final stage of love is to see the beloved everywhere. The 8th century Sufi saint Rabia attained this kind of love. She was a slave girl and much harassed by her master. When it became too much to bear, she decided to run away. It was dark and she fell into a ditch. And at that moment, a cry came from within her, "Hey Allah!" It was a spontaneous cry, and she herself was surprised at it. But then she heard a voice saying, "Rabia, I am pleased with you. Your days of suffering are nearly over. Go back to your master for now." She did so. But this experience was always in her mind, and at night she began praying with tears in her eyes. She prayed all night. Once while the master was taking a stroll in his compound, he heard someone crying and praying. He investigated and found Rabia in a corner with her whole face shining. Next day he sent for her and told her, "Rabia, I did not know you were a great devotee of Allah. I am sorry for the trouble I have given you. From this day, you are free. You may continue staying here as a member of the family if you like, or you may go wherever you please. You are no more a slave girl." Rabia told him that she would like to leave, and she did so, bearing no ill will to her former master. In due course, she became a great saint, and once she was asked, "Rabia, do you love God?" "Yes, I love God," she replied. "Then do you hate Satan?" "My love for God leaves no place for Satan. I see my beloved God everywhere," she replied. This is the sign of the highest love. When a person develops love to that extent, he sees everything as the embodiment of love. Now, what is the approach of reason? It is to analyze our entire existence. The Sanskrit word for the world is Jagat. Jagat literally means that which moves. It's constantly moving. Everything is changing, Changing is a movement. But truth is that which doesn't change. Truth should be constant in time. It was, it is, and it will be. There is also the idea of relative truth. The mirage in a desert is untrue relative to the desert. If in the dark one mistakes a rope for a snake, then the snake is untrue relative to the rope. The mistake is corrected by bringing a flashlight and looking at the rope and recognizing it for what it is. The mirage in the desert vanishes when one approaches to investigate it. The method of Advaita Vedanta is to reach the truth, the real truth, by negating the unreal. So here comes in the value of reasoning, analyzing. This is the discipline of neti. That is, not this, not this. When you analyze, it is not real, it is not real. As and when you analyze, whatever things you have concluded as unreal should be discarded. And this is the process of not this, not this. By repeatedly removing that which is untrue, we would arrive at the truth. This is the idea. At first, it appears to be a very negative discipline. However, we can look at the same thing in another way. Suppose we are traveling in a boat away from the shore and towards the ocean. As we look at the land, it slowly disappears from our view until all that is left is ocean. That is, in our view, the land merges into the ocean. Similarly, the process of neti neti can also be viewed as iti iti. This is. This means that we see everything. But it gets subsumed by the truth in it. In the end, we see truth shining everywhere. We see the same consciousness everywhere. Sri Ramakrishna had the constant experience of this all-pervading consciousness. At first, Swami Vivekananda didn't believe it. Then one day, Sri Ramakrishna touched him, and the result was tremendous. Swamiji says that for days he was in a state where it seemed that everything was pervaded with all consciousness, and he could not decide whether anything was matter. He even banged his head on iron railings to see if they were real. Gradually, as his perception returned to normal, he realized that he had had a glimpse of the all-pervading consciousness. According to Vedanta philosophy, the conclusion of a spiritual truth depends for its validity on three propositions: scripture, reason, and personal experience. An aspirant should first study scriptures with the help of a qualified teacher. After this study, he must contemplate over the spiritual truth with reason. Then he must practice concentration and meditation and experience the truth in the depth of contemplation. Neither the scripture, nor reason, nor experience can independently create a genuine conviction. By depending solely on scripture, one becomes a dogmatic. Also, reason alone cannot give certainty, for one can prove whatever one wants to prove. Personal experience by itself can also be deceptive. It may project one's own favorite ideas, hallucinations as the truth. But when all these three factors jointly lead to the same conclusion, that is Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Scripture, reason, and personal experience. When these three factors jointly lead to the same conclusion, one may be reasonably assured of having reached the truth. This truth can be attained by anyone who will strive sincerely. Faith without reason tends to become dogmatic and superstitious, and reason without faith degenerates into dry intellectualism. So, there must be a perfect harmony between the two to realize God, to know our true self as divine. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel about reasoning. Reasoning has its own limitation. One should not reason too much. It is enough if one loves the lotus feet of the mother. Too much reasoning throws the mind into confusion and gives the example. You get clear water if you drink from the surface of a pool. Put your hand deeper and stir the water and it becomes muddy. Therefore, pray to God for devotion. If faith and reason are like two wings of a bird, concentration and meditation is like the tail. It acts as a rudder and gives essential support. So, let us use faith, reason, concentration and meditation to help us to get the experience of the divine in us and in all beings. Any questions to ask? Everything has got its value. The basis of everything is sincerity, purity of heart. If one is pure and sincere, truth will reveal by itself. But we have to maintain that sincerity and guilelessness, purity in life, purity in thought, word and deed. Because God is the manifestation of purity and perfection. To be pure, to see everyone as the embodiment of God. That concept we should cherish in our mind. Every bit of the universe, every bit, all the beings, animate and inanimate, sentient and insentient, the whole universe, with all its content, with all its beings, are all filled with divine consciousness. God only pervades everywhere. So this idea has been very highly highlighted in one of the stories of the incarnation. There was a very great demon by name Hiranyakashipu. He had a son, Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu was dead against gods because he thought he is the most powerful, strongest person in the universe. So he felt that he was none other than God himself. So he didn't want to accept anybody else superior to himself. So he would humiliate the people who would worship gods. Paradoxically, his own son became the ardent lover of Lord Vishnu, one of the supreme Godhead of the world. The supreme Godhead is called by different names. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. They are all different names of the same supreme God. He would always link himself to the supreme. Everything is done by the will of the Lord Vishnu. And the father was very angry, and he began to tease him, he began to scold him, abuse him, and he began to punish him in so many ways, not to distract his mind. But Prahlada's faith was unshaken. He was very faithful, and he believed 100% the divine presence. He felt everywhere the existence of divine. So when Hiranyakashipu failed in all his attempts to turn the mind of his son Prahlad, he could not do it. Finally he became extremely angry. He took the sword, ran towards the boy, and said to him, "Look, this is the final. There is no other way. Since you are not diverting your mind away from Vishnu, you are considering him as the supreme Godhead. Now this is the final test for you. Do you think that God exists in this pillar? If he exists there in the pillar, let him come and save you. I will right away kill you right now." So he drew the sword, and he was about to strike the boy, about to touch. The pillar exploded. The special incarnation came out of the pillar, and that is Narasimha Avatar, half lion, half human being. It was a peculiar manifestation. That manifestation was to be done that way because Hiranyakashipu had received a lot of boons He would not be killed by devatas, he would not be killed by men, he would not be killed by this, he would not be killed by that. So the Lord had to have special type of manifestation by which all those conditions are fulfilled. He should not be killed in daytime, he should not be killed in night time. So he was killed in the Sandhya, during before sunset. And neither dark nor day. Anyhow, finally that Hiranyakashipu was finished. The point here is, Prahlada could see the divine presence everywhere. And that is because he had 100% faith in Vishnu, and he was totally pure at heart. 100% pure, free from all impurities, jealousy, hatred, nothing of that sort. And he desired nothing. He wanted nothing. Nakankshati, nashochati, or Krishna says in the Gita. A person who is devotee should desire nothing but God. If you desire something, that means to that extent the mind runs after that desire. No. That means your 100% mind is not given to God. If the 100% mind is given to God, then there is no question of any desire coming up in the mind. By seeing the God, by realizing the God, all your desires will be fulfilled. That's why when God asks the devotee, asks for a boon, he says, I don't need any boon because I am satisfied. Santruptosmi, I am satisfied. Totally I am satisfied. What to ask for? That's the state. So, let us try to maintain purity. And whomsoever God we are worshipping the same God. God has got different names. He has got infinite names. All the names belong to Him. But whomsoever you are worshipping God in whatsoever form, try to see the same form in the whole universe. That's the practice of religion. A person who is practicing religion should not hate anybody. He should not hate anyone. Adveshta sarvabhutanam. Hatred towards none. That's the idea. Now I shall begin the next chapter in the Gospel, that is chapter 48, in the company of devotees of Shampakor. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning when M arrived at Dr. Sarkar's house in Sankaritola, Calcutta, to report Sri Ramakrishna's condition. M and Dr. Sarkar became engaged in conversation. Doctor said, you see, Dr. Bihari Bahaduri always harps on the same thing. He says that Goethe's spirit came out of his body and that Goethe himself saw it. It must have been very amazing. Yam said, as Sri Ramakrishna says, what shall we gain from these discussions? We have been born in this world in order to cultivate devotion to the lotus feet of God. He tells us the story of a man who entered an orchard to eat mangoes, but instead of eating the fruit, he took out pencil and paper and began to jot down the number of trees, branches, and leaves in the orchard. A servant saw him and asked, what are you doing? Why have you come here? The man said, I have come here to eat mangoes. I am now counting the trees, branches, and leaves in the orchard. Thereupon the servant replied, if you have come here to eat mangoes, then enjoy them. What will you gain by counting the trees, branches, and leaves? Doctor said, I see that the Paramahamsa has been able to extract the essence. Then Dr. Sarkar told M many stories about his homeopathic hospital. He showed M the list of the patients who visited the hospital every day. He further remarked that at the beginning many medical practitioners had discouraged him about homeopathy and had even written against him in magazines. M and Dr. Sarkar got into the doctor's carriage. The doctor visited many patients. He entered a house of the Tagore family at Paturiagata and was detained there by the head of the family. Returning to the carriage, he began to talk to M. Doctor said, I was talking to the gentleman about the Paramahamsa. We also talked about theosophy and Colonel Alcott. The Paramahamsa is angry with the gentleman. Do you know why? Because he says he knows everything. Yam said, no, why should the master be angry? I heard that they once met each other. Paramahamsa Dev was talking about God. The gentleman said, oh yes, I know all that. Doctor, he has donated 32,500 rupees to the Science Association. They drove on, talking about Sri Ramakrishna's illness and the care that should be taken of him. Doctor said, do you intend to send him back to Dakshineshwar? Yam said, no sir, that would greatly inconvenience the devotees. They can always visit him if he is in Calcutta. Doctor said, but it is very expensive here. Yam said, the devotees don't mind that. All they want is to be able to serve him. As regards the expense, it must be borne whether he lives in Calcutta or at Dakshineshwar. But if he goes back to Dakshineshwar, the devotees won't always be able to visit him, and that will cause them great worry. Dr. Sarkar and M arrived at Shampakor and found the master sitting with the devotees in his room. Dr. Bahaduri also was there. Dr. Sarkar examined the master's pulse and inquired about his condition. The conversation turned to God. Dr. Bahaduri said, shall I tell you the truth? All that is unreal, like a dream. Dr. Sarkar said, is everything delusion? Then who is this delusion? Then whose is this delusion? And why this delusion? If all know it to be delusion, then why do they talk? I can't believe that God is real and his creation unreal. Master said, that's a good attitude. It's good to look on God as a master and oneself as his servant. As long as a man feels the body to be real, as long as he is conscious of I and you, it is good to keep the relationship of master and servant. It is not good to cherish the idea of I am he. Let me tell you something else. You see the same room, whether you look at it from one side or from the middle of the room. Dr. Bahadur said to Dr. Sarkar, what I have just said you will find in the Vedanta. You must study the scriptures, then you will understand. Dr. Sarkar said, why so? Has he, meaning the master, acquired all this wisdom by studying the scriptures? He too supports my view. Can't one be wise without reading the scriptures? Master said, but how many scriptures I have heard? Dr. Sarkar, a man may mistake the meaning if he only hears. In your case, it is not mere hearing. Master said to doctor, I understand that you spoke of me as insane. That's why they, pointing to Yam and the others, they don't want to go to you. Dr. Sarkar looking at Yam, why should I call you, meaning the master, insane? But I mentioned your egoism. Why do you allow people to take the dust of your feet? Yam said, otherwise they weep. Dr. Sarkar, that is a mistake. They should be told about it. Yam said, why should you object to their taking the dust of his feet? Doesn't God dwell in all beings? Dr. Sarkar said, I don't object to that. Then you must take the dust off everyone's feet. Let us stop here. All right. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord of the soul, O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust are the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquilly, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good bread all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.